a disaster because according to the reports we've had over the last 12 to about 16 to 17 hours, President John Dramani Mahama has suspended from office the Commissioner for the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, CHRAJ, and Ms. Loretta Vivian Lamte has been told to sit in the house for some time. The suspension, which was on the advice of the Judicial Council and in pursuant to Article 146(10)(b) of the 1992 Constitution, follows the setting up of a 5-member committee to investigate allegations of corruption and abuse of public office. And we know that's the string of issues that she ran through. I have to start with you. What do you make of this? And it's been an interesting issue over the last couple of months. Well,
over the couple of months, anybody who has been a keen observer of the thing that has been happening in CHRAJ, the revelations, could tell this one coming. You could see it will get there. The moment some Ghanaians took the bold decision to file a petition, I knew that we would get here. But I'm disappointed, with due deference to my senior colleague, she's a senior lawyer, that she waited for it to get this far. Whether I had made only one public pronouncement on this matter, and that was that I would have wished that she would stand down on her own to spare CHRAJ the embarrassment of the investigator now being subjected to such public scrutiny in a negative way. You know, unfortunately, she didn't think that she had to do that as her decision, and she has waited to go through this one. Well, maybe CHRAJ under the microscope would also help us. We have often been asked who polices the policeman. Now, the body that is responsible for policing the policeman is now activated, and they are going to police CHRAJ to go into the allegations and the insinuations, and the facts will be sifted from the chaff, and then we'll know exactly what happened, how she conducted herself, whether it was in tune with public office holders or she did not conduct herself in a manner that is in consonance with the way public office holders should. Then, this is not the end of the matter. The committee may recommend that she should return to her job or that she should be dismissed. I would have loved it if we didn't have to go through all this process. But it's a constitutional requirement, and so long as the petition has been filed and she did not jump, the process must go through, and will end up in one way or the other. Either she returns to her seat or she's pushed.
Over the last couple of months, as politicians, as professionals, and as always observers, those observations you have made have categorically stated that perhaps she didn't conduct her affairs in terms of the decisions that were taken while in office. Now, in looking at the subject in substantive, in essence, do you think that she may have had in her thoughts, and still has in her thoughts, that there was some legitimacy with the actions that she took? Because for all that we have to talk about, they were procedural. I mean, I don't have a place to lay my head, and I'm supposed to be catered for, accommodated.
For me, it is a lesson for all those who are appointed into political office. Because
is it a political office?
Well, it's supposed to be
because, yes,
an independent body.
There's still some level of recommendation from the presidency.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of political office holders have gone through what this lady has gone through, especially when you are in office and largesse are being brought to you. Sometimes
or at your disposal.
Yeah. You'll be given certain facilities that if you are to read through the lines, you realize that you are not supposed to enjoy those benefits.
So what do you do?
But you know, sometimes if you are not on top of the job, you may accept those facilities, and that will lead you into what we see today. But I had expected that the CHRAJ boss should have resigned a long time ago, based on the position that she occupies as the one who is supposed to oversee human rights abuses. What will it take?
And corruption and abuse of office.
When you withdraw from your position and allow investigations to go on, just to allow some form of integrity or some form of transparency. Even if you look at the institution itself, to protect the image of the institution. But she also believes that that is a right, and nobody can trample on her rights. But I believe that His Excellency the President also did what needs to be done. As a president, he didn't abuse his rights. He made sure that the due process was followed. The Chief Justice went into it. Prima facie, this thing was established. And then the next thing that the president did was to suspend her, to allow whatever investigations that needs to be done to be done. And I think for the president doing that, for me, I commend him for doing that. Sometimes it's not easy for leaders to try as much as possible to present their people to such scrutiny. But I think it is a good step for us. That in a way will also increase our profile as a country that is trying to reduce abuse of power. So it is good for all of us. But for me, I think she shouldn't have waited for even the president to tell her to resign.
Not your good point you make there, though. But the point is, if you're appointing, you need to appoint credible people. So it's also an indictment on
the
your
appointing authority.
Yes, but the two of you have mentioned the subject of image, perhaps public opinion about the institution in itself. If you take a look at what ethical theorists say, is you have to behave while in a certain capacity or position as to think of the public good. And also issues of conflict of interests, and whether the actions you take also are inimical or inure to the very objectives of the institution and the society at large.
Yes.
What has been done as unethical, and how has this affected the image of the institution?
You see, the complaint is that while spending huge sums of money to rehabilitate the official residence, you also spend another set of huge sums of money to live in a hotel. For me, if all the expenditure had been on her official residence, it would not have raised a lot of issues, actually. But the part about living in a hotel and the fact that for about 4 months or so previously, she had not stepped in her office. These are all matters which says that.
Well, she had appointments to go to conferences, etc. You don't have to step in your office if you have appointment to go to conferences and you've been booked and paid for by the very commission you're heading.
So, what is your job? Was you appointed as a commissioner to be attending conferences? You have a job to do. And who says that your conferences must override your responsibility, your constitutional mandate?
Well, those are part of our responsibilities.
The conferences? No. The conferences are only to assist you formulate or share ideas, international experience, in order that you perform your constitutional responsibilities. Or you may be invited to provide some perspective from Ghana. But that should not be the sole objective of the commissioner. You know, so the important thing in my view is that in the eyes of the Ghanaian public, she was abusing her position. In the eyes of the Ghanaian public, she was not behaving as a person cognizant of our financial position, the financial crisis, just wanting to live her luxurious life as a person. I mean, if I choose not to work in public service and make my money, how I use it, so long as I pay my taxes, is up to me. But public office is a place of a place where we all tighten our belts. And if you're in a position to oversee that everybody is conducting his or himself well, then you must be the first person to oversee yourself. Public service is a place of austerity. Actually, in the face of our budgetary constraints, you should be the first persons not to be seen to be living a luxurious life, you know. And that's why the issues concerning her are grave. And that's why, in my view, it is important that once the complaints have been made, they are investigated through to the end. Listen, since 2010, have you heard of any CHRAJ report talking about, or a CHRAJ have you heard of CHRAJ investigating any of the numerous allegations of corruption and abuse of office in the country?
Your conclusion is?
They haven't.
Yes.
And when they were asked, they said they didn't have money. This is, I'm speaking as a member of the Committee on Constitution and Legal, meeting with them. And they telling us their challenges. When we challenged them, we were discussing their reports. Said, your report is showing that you're failing in your constitutional mandate. And their reason is that they don't have money. And here it turns out that actually you're using the little resources you have on yourself, not to execute your mandate, but rather to finance your comfort. This is unacceptable. I mean, I'm trying as much as possible not to be prejudicial since the investigation is
we're just discussing the ethical nuances.
Point, yes. In certain positions, you're like the Caesar's wife. You must live above suspicion.
Reproach.
Yes.
And you see, I've always maintained that public office holders needs to be very...
And that should include members of parliament?
Yes, I said public office holders
should
be very modest.
The first in austerity.
In the way they do things, especially when they are in your offices.
Only because the allocations are not coming.
You know,
well, they are not.
Sometimes we tend to spend a lot of resources on refurbishment, renovation, new purchase of new equipment, and so on and so forth.
Which, in your view, you think are not necessary?
Change of, let's say, personnel,
and that even includes government.
Exactly. And for me, those are the areas that I believe that His Excellency the President and the Finance Minister needs to look at. Because we spend huge resources in renovating homes that need not to be renovated. You see, when a bungalow has been assigned to a public figure, yearly maintenance has to be done. When that public officer is about to leave office, or he leaves office, sometimes these are how do you call them? Those are the technical
works department.
Works department.
PWD.
Yes, who submit bill of quantities as to what needs to be done for the incoming executive. And you see, if you overlook what is going to be done for you, that is what will send you into what.
Meaning, if you don't accept.
No. I mean,
if you don't pay attention to
what
the
is being done, because look, sometimes people profit out of it.
They'll say they are replacing your
and
toilets.
I've been in several procurement committees where certain chief executives have refused to accept what is being done for their offices. I just don't want to mention it.
Oh,
but I was very proud.
But that's for commendation.
Yes, no, but you know, when you are in such institutions and you are a
confidentiality,
member, you don't have to. Yes, but I was very glad that that chief executive came out to say that, look, this thing is too expensive for my office.
Okay.
You see, and those are the things that we need to do.
Okay. You also credited as DVLA boss for various reforms you instituted. Were you living in a government bungalow?
No, I've never ever in my life lived in a.
Okay, you're rich.
I lived I lived in a rented apartment because when I joined DVLA, DVLA didn't have any official.
Paid by who?
Paid by DVLA.
Your office.
Yes.
By the terms of your office.
Yes.
All right.
I was paying 200 Ghana, 200 The rent was 200 Ghana. At the time, 200 Ghana. But you know, before I left,
that time $1 was 1 cedi.
No, I think it was even less.
Actually,
that was pre-denomination. So if we had done the denomination earlier, it would have been less.
I'm telling you that the place I took in Accra, no chief executive would take it. But before I left, I said, listen, I'm looking at myself. But my value should not be the standard. So DVLA should have its own official residence. And we bought...
So now they have...
yes, we built a complete new one.
That's why you're credited for reforms.
And I left it. My board was very happy that we were able to procure our own, because what happened was that my landlord just sold the house I was living in without notice. He just came one morning and said, I've sold this one, moved to that one. I said, wow. So if he didn't have any... for me to move in, what would have happened?
But you had your own structure, your private structure.
At the time, no. Now I do. By the time I didn't.
Okay. Let me ask the two of you this. Very often you hear about members of parliament who perhaps, based on whatever regulations that tend to enjoin them to behave appropriately in office, let's say in the UK, being perhaps investigated for even exceeding quotas they are supposed to either to spend or even spent on their families that do not include all the people that they're supposed to be catering for, and adequately investigated, and some even honorously resigning.
Okay,
yes. Honorably resigning. Do we think we'll come to the point where we're going to have that type of perhaps responsibility being taken by our public service office holders?
I think we should. I mean, it is mandatory for public office holders to be open to investigations all the time. Anytime you have a responsibility and there is cost management to it, you should be transparent, and whenever people are breathing to believe that there are questions to be answered, it should be possible for you to answer. I mean, I think it should be an everyday practice. That is what governance is about: openness, accountability, and it should not be just public office holders. I'm a committee ranking member. If, for example, the funds of the committee is entrusted to my management, I should be accounting for it regularly and openly. I think that practice should be encouraged. Over the years, we have operated an enclosed kind of governance where, whether by our own cultural arrangements or whatever, people outside government do not ask questions, are not supposed to. Who are you? I recall what my mother used to say when we were young.
If you mean people outside government, you mean...
the ordinary citizens, those who voted us into power, appear to be... who
because
are
I know
you to
MPs
ask me?
are not necessarily part of the executive.
No, MPs don't manage any public funds. Any money that comes to MP is managed, is for his person. But if I have to, if for any reason I manage public funds, then I must account for it openly.
Okay, now let's come back to the subject of CHRAJ. There's a report being circulated in the media, but also if you go to Major Online, former Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Professor Emil Short, is challenging the acting commissioner, whoever would take after even the acting commissioner, to work towards rebuilding the image of the human rights institution. How has it been battered, and what needs to be done to
I said it even during my earlier comments, that CHRAJ is a body that is supposed to see to how abused people's rights are taken care of. And we see them as a body that holds the key to good governance.
Some level of morality.
Exactly.
In governance.
So anybody who occupies that office, you are looked at with that special lenses. And for what happened in terms of how resources within the institution was dissipated, it created a bad image for the institution. Because when people abuse funds, they can be brought to your office. Is that not it? So, why
if
should
you
such a,
abuse
exactly? So that credibility
that's interesting.
is going down. You see, and then secondly, the mere fact that the one occupying the top position in all these issues decided to stay in office, created some form of how do you call it? Is it an abuse or yeah, as if we don't care. That attitude.
Some level of nonchalance and apathy towards
exactly. We don't care about what is happening, and people are looking at how resources of the country are being abused. Okay, so it created, in fact, a very bad image for the institution itself. And look at the number of issues complaints that people have brought before the commission, which from my own colleagues' interaction with the commission came up that because they don't have the resources, okay, so if you have resources that can be used to refurbish new buildings and then for people to stay in hotels and pay dollars, huge sums of money, then where lies the integrity? You see? So it's really created a bad image for the institution, and truly there's a need for the person coming in to act towards a matter of urgency, try and then rebuild the image of the institution.
We have issues about PR and branding and all that.
No, but actually,
using the laid down structures and by the actions of whoever will come to act or be appointed after the one acting, what needs to be done to redeem the image of CHRAJ?
If you have if CHRAJ came to be identical with anti-corruption in the country, from Commissioner CHRAJ, complaints come, they invite people, they investigate them. High public officials, largely. They were doing a lot of investigations at the lower level, but they did not catch the eye of the public. But the high level ones, P.V. Obeng, Kenelo Seusu, Dr. Anane, because those things made people have so much faith in the commission. But soon after the changeover, even the other commissioner who came after Commissioner CHRAJ, Anna Bosman, she also continued, you know, but as soon as Mrs. Lamte took over,
Miss Lamte
took over, it has ceased. There are no investigations. All kinds of corrupt allegations are made in the press and everywhere. No investigations. And to the extent that the anti-corruption entities in the country, the NGOs, are all complaining. Indeed, I've had interaction with CDD, and they are bitter about the way CHRAJ is conducting itself. And some other anti-corruption NGOs in the country think that CHRAJ has taken a nosedive in the performance of Israel.
And it's all about leadership.
It is all about leadership. It's about
where
they choose to spend the little money they have.
So how can we use then the leadership of the institution there to redeem the image of CHRAJ?
What I think should happen now is that they should refocus on their core mandate and be seen to be proactive in giving the people of Ghana confidence that when we feel that governance is suffering, we can rely on CHRAJ. When we think that public office holders, powerful people, we have reason to suspect that they are not conducting themselves in the best interest of the country, we can go to CHRAJ, and CHRAJ will investigate that. Not necessarily because they will find that it is true, but they will give assurance to the people that indeed no such untoward thing is happening. Unfortunately, this has not been the case in the last 4 or 5 years. And that's why I agree with Commissioner CHRAJ that CHRAJ was in the news not for any of these matters. They were in the news for the right things, the things that gave assurance to the Ghanaian populace that we have a group that is ensuring that good governance is practiced in the country. And that is where the direction should be now.
Well, thanks very much. Please always make sure you get interactive on our social network page on Facebook. Joy News on TV is a page we have there. And many of you have been interacting. We're very much happy with that. We'll get to relay them. Please always make sure you visit there as always. And we have a handle on Twitter and the handle is at Joy News on TV. Okay.